Hi, Ben. My name's Sean. Really quick, I'm just going to go over the little issue with the tree so that I can explain this so that we can create the proper asset so we can make it look as good as possible. So here's the storybook one, and as we see, it does have this repeating element that goes down, and see it right there. So actually, what the trick is here is if we inspect it, you can see it's this section right here. It actually goes from here and connects to the top, and I've isolated it right here. So it's actually just this one piece. And essentially what it is it's set with some code so that it repeats. So as soon as it gets to a certain point where the screen would extend, then it pops a new version of it down right here. But as you see, the cylinder has the perfect width all the way throughout. And then they use a trick at the bottom to hide it. See, actually when you get to the very bottom, it doesn't actually attach to anything. It disappears behind the background. So that's kind of how they cheat the attachment part, but then still make it seem seamless. And where it actually attaches is right here along the top. So this asset right here is actually its own piece. See if I can open it up in a new. There we go. So see, there's that piece, and then there's this piece. So the issue with the tree trunk is that it has a lot of detail to it. I actually have the PSD open here. I bring it over. So we can see that there's lines going throughout the tree and there's bumps and everything, and so it doesn't really quite match up throughout everything. Plus this nav bar that we used, instead of what they did on this site, is this nav bar floats on top, and it's not actually an image. It's just a stylized piece of text. And so since I wanted to keep what you had as nice as possible, I cut this out and I actually mapped all of these links onto this image, which is fine. This whole thing matches up just fine. The only issue, as we can see right here, if you're really looking and you can see that, of course. And then down here we have this trunk. You can see it doesn't match up there either. And that's because of these lines and everything kind of bounces around. So what would be perfect is if we could find a way to take this element, because it needs to be a specific size. I used the same size as the Storybook Tumblr one did, and I think it's here it is. Take a look here. Yeah, so the width isn't necessarily important, but the height is 724 pixels, give or take a couple. So I think what the best thing to do is if we could find some way that you could design something for the tree asset where we can get the top, so you can come up with where it attaches. Like we could take these out or whatever, and you can make me a section that has the top correctly, and then has a middle that you like, obviously, because you're the designer. Which I wanted to tell you too, by the way, that all this artwork is really top notch. Looks really good. And then we can get it where it connects actually to the trunk element, which let's see if I can drag this off there. So yeah, if we can get it so that it attaches to the trunk element properly. So maybe if we could just get a chop section. So if you could make something where it's the same element, but it's 725 pixels tall. Like I said, the current width is perfect, and it has the bottom element attached to the bottom section of it. So let me pull up this again. So say that the top element here matches the top element that's attaching to, and the bottom element has that. The only issue is that I couldn't create that because I couldn't chop this off. This is much larger than we would want to deal with for repeating, because what would happen is if we had a page that wasn't this long, it would take up that amount of room, and we wouldn't want that on a page that maybe just has one post or something that's not that many words. Like we have it set to a minimum height, but that would just be a bit of overkill. So, and I think that we could find the joining spot would be right below the shop. The other thing is I don't know if we're actually going to remove this part of the nav. That's something that I want to talk to James about, because I don't actually have a shop template. I was thinking that maybe we could change this to media, since we have a media page, but the only place that it links is currently is within the footer. So maybe if we could change this, if you could edit this, so this says media, and then you could come up with an element. Don't worry about any of this, just where it is seamless, where the top it has the top part, and then whatever middle of it attach in between it, and then the bottom. Obviously, I've kind of chunked it up there. So what you might even want to do is take all this content out. So say that we disabled all this and just made it so that it was scrunched down, like a super scrunched down version, and you could just draw it just for that to get our segment. And you could still have all this detail in there as long as this top part, we have a spot here that attaches the spot there. Let me take over one more thing here. So on this one you can actually see, if you inspect the element, I have another browser I'm looking at, so let me open this so you can see. So you see that's the spot that I actually grabbed, and we can extend this if we need to. But yeah, so maybe if you could make me a nav element that grabs the top, and then we can get one that goes from right there, and that'll have our section that repeats, and then it'll also match up to the footer. Obviously another option, which I don't think you want to do because your tree trunk is really nice here at the bottom, is to eliminate this and actually hide it into the background like they did. But if not, just getting a section that has a middle, but also make sure that the bottom is correct, because it's always going to go and match down there. Like it's always going to hit that spot, and then the top similar because it starts there. So let me know if you have any questions about this.